home building and remodeling show. Let's go. Welcome everybody to the Home Building and Remodeling Show. My name is Chris Kirby and I'll be your host. I am the owner of 3 construction companies on the Alabama Gulf Coast. The show is about residential construction. We're going to cover topics of home building and remodeling. Are you thinking of doing a remodel or building a home? Are you a contractor looking to improve your knowledge base or grow your business? Have you ever done a remodel project or built a home? There were so many things you wish you knew or that you could have done differently during the process. Then this show is for you. We break down the process of building and remodeling and how to have the best results during your project. Whether you're a DIYer looking for tips, someone looking to hire a contractor to do a project, or a contractor looking to expand your knowledge base or your business. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you. Stay tuned. We kick off the show with my thoughts on home building and remodeling. I'll share best practices and talk about some of our experiences in business and out in the field. These shared thoughts and lessons learned are meant to help you on your very own journey. Let's go. And so for me, it's super important to understand your cash flow, understand how to put together a draw schedule that suits your needs, but is also based in truth. It's based on work completed, right? Most of the time in a home build, the bank they're gonna issue draws on not just your draw schedule, right? But it needs to be on a percentage of completion. And so understanding that and working with the bank, working with the client and having the client understand your money needs up front, having those conversations are a big deal. We have changed the way that we estimate. We have changed our checklists. We have changed the way we do our contracts, our draw schedule. It continually evolves. And I would say we're in a good place now. But when I first started out, doing this, there were no contracts per se. It was, typed up and given to somebody. And then we adopted QuickBooks and did estimating in there. So it was a little more official. And then when we moved and started getting actual large jobs and I became a licensed remodeler and home builder to take on those large jobs, we had to evolve and look at the way we did business so I could just keep up, not just looking at the large projects and thinking, I can make a lot of money, because I did that. We did that as a company. We looked and said, wow, there's a lot of profit in this job because it is a larger job. But until you've taken on a large job, the way that you operate is going to be different from the way that somebody else operates. And when you look at, well, let's just say, for instance, right, you're doing $5,000 jobs right now, and then you jump up to 10 and you're like, okay, that's doable. Well, when you take that large leap going from a $10,000 commitment to a $50,000 job, that is multiple weeks on end. You need multiple employees, and you want to make good time on it because the client has high expectations. It's very, very different. And if you don't plan and if you don't have systems in place, then you're bound to fail and lose money. We've lost money on multiple projects, and just jumping the gun and trying to get into the project really before we were ready, right? And you look and you're like, okay, it's easy. It's easy as this. Mark it up a little bit because we're going to be a little slower if it's our first time. Add a couple weeks because, it's our first time. It's going to take longer. And you think, okay, that'll work. That's how we buffer ourselves, right? We tell them 10 weeks and we know it's going to take 8. Well, what typically happens is a 10-week job, we told them 10 weeks. We think it's going to take 8, takes 12. And that 2 weeks, your margins just go to nothing. And, it's just one of those things where you have to plan. You've got to understand your capability and your capacity. You've got to have your cash flow figured out,
How are you going to pay for materials throughout the job? How are you going to pay your people throughout the job? How are you going to pay your subs? And when you sit down and you write each of those out, and then you look at your schedule and you say, okay, in week 1, I'm going to do demo and I'm going to have the plumber come in and do a drain move. And we'll just say a bathroom remodel. You need to understand, and the client has to understand that process. That way, that week you can say, okay, I need my paycheck, Jimmy John's paycheck, and I need to pay the plumber. Well, that draw that week needs to be my paycheck, Jimmy John's paycheck, and the plumber in that week. So you can pay your bills for the week on top of overhead and minor materials, right? What tends to happen and what we do in contracting is we go, well, it's a 3-week job and I'm going to take half up front and half when it's done. Well, the half up front doesn't go as far as you thought it would. And, you can't make it to the second half of the job because you didn't plan the job correctly. And now you're stuck with a plumber who needs to be paid or a subcontractor who needs to be paid. And your priority is making sure that your employee gets his check. And so you're pushing and pulling and figuring it out. And the worst part is you usually end up borrowing against receivables or borrowing against expected monies in. And so when that $10,000 job, now you have to figure out how to finish it. You borrow, some money and there's interest. And now that job is just starting to slowly eat you alive, or you borrow from somewhere else to complete the job. You have to make sure that you are planning properly, or these jobs in construction will eat you alive. If there's anything that I can say, it is make sure you plan the money portion just as hard as you plan the scope of work, and that your money portion aligns. You are asking the client to pay for what's owed and what's due when it's due. All right, guys. Till next time. Thanks.
This is our new contractor shout out segment. We are going to pick 40 contractors a month that tag their business page in our post on the Homebuilding and Remodeling Show Facebook page. And this month we have with us HH Renovations out of Brighton, Michigan, Palm Beach Classic Hardware out of Palm Beach, Florida, Hazlitt Construction in Mercer County, Pennsylvania, Homestyle Improvement in Frederick, Maryland, All Set Flooring in St. Peters, Missouri. Thank you all for commenting on the monthly post. We will do another post next month. Like, subscribe, and share our Facebook page, and hopefully you get a shout out next time. And now we move into Shop Talk. It's the portion of the show where I bring in a co-host and we cover trending topics in home building and remodeling. Hope you enjoy. Let's go. You want to bring in good people and you want people to stay with you. Well, doing 1099s isn't going to last forever. Right. So for the young mentality or the people who really need or want the money up front, then yes, they're happy to get a 1099. But what I've seen over time is that when they realize the benefits to being a W-2, or that they do have to, in fact, pay Uncle Sam his money, later it catches back up.
It always does.
Do that. Yeah. So like what happens is you have to make them understand, and we hire people who understand that. But all that being said, that's how, when we price something, we price it to fit our needs, right? And so there may be individual contractors who price differently, but this is the way we do it. So why are we starting to tick up our margins, and why are we not scared to lose business over that? Like, what do you think?
We're not for everybody, honestly. If you're looking for the cheapest price, we're not going to be for you.
Yeah. And there are good individual contractors. Not this.
You can definitely find a good, especially somebody that's just started up, trying to get on their feet. They're going to, they're hungry. So they're going to try to, and not taken away from them, because they can be some of the best
absolutely
out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
They know what they're doing, right?
Right.
But for us, we have a company, a growing company,
Right.
and so we are going to be more expensive. We're
Exactly.
probably not the most expensive, but we're by far not the cheapest.
Right.
So you have recently adjusted our numbers up to keep up with the growth and demand.
Right.
And
so, yes, like you said earlier, we've brought on just this past week 6 more employees. So we have to
Which
be
is
able
huge.
to afford these guys and getting that electrical and plumbing, off the ground.
yeah, it's
and
under
getting it
roof
going.
now. Yeah, so what we've done is we've brought electrical and plumbing in house, which was a huge bite on salary. We had to bite the bullet, but it's helped us. I know for you estimating now, you've already got basically a cheat sheet
Right.
that was revamped by the plumber this morning.
Yes, sir.
Right. So
And that helps so much.
Yeah.
And then it helps, like, our job's running a little longer than scheduled because of having schedule conflicts. Well, now we control all that. So
The workflow is
everything
there.
Way better.
Not only that, but like you can get some real expectations from them. So, as a sub, you always buffer, you always
Right.
add to, and, just like as we do with the client, we're going to let them know. You never want to tell a client one day and it takes 2.
Right.
You never want to tell a client 1 week and it takes 2. You want to do the opposite of that. And not every time. You want to be as real as possible with them. But if you tell a client that it's going to be 2 weeks and they plan for that and it takes 3, it kind of gets rough. Anytime we're in a job longer than we're supposed to be, it definitely gets rougher.
It gets really hard to get out of there.
That's right. It's
You know what
hard
I
to
mean?
get out. The client is a little more frustrated with you
Yep.
because you've been in their house a little bit longer than expected. And then, usually it's because of a delay. And when a job sits, the client is just looking around at the job.
That's when they start
They're going to pick it apart.
Googling things and,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. But so with us now having those, what we used to refer to as subcontractors in-house, plumbing and electrical, we get the real raw data, right?
Right.
Because we're paying them in-house. So what used to be basically a per fixture, right?
Yep.
We still charge the client that way,
Mm-hmm.
right? But we make sure it fits inside of what we pay them, and
Right.
are we,
What's
we're
gonna
buying
be
their
their
material.
labor
Yes.
costs, and just as long as their stuff fits into the price per
That we're-
fixture,
yeah.
and we still kind of make a little something for going through it all.
Absolutely. And so it helps you when you're looking at not just the price of the project, but the project flow and doing your numbers as the estimator. You're looking and saying, okay, now with the in-house plumber, he told me this is going to be 2 days. Well, you can bank on him being there for 2 days because he works for us. He's
Right.
a part of our company now. And so that where you may have, again, they're buffering to us, you're adding to it, and then it gets to the client where it's, one day, well, for you, if they tell you 1 day, you're going to tell the client
2 days.
Right.
Yeah.
So it sets some more realistic expectations for
Right.
us and helps us improve just the quality of work, the flow of work, and the relationship with the client. And really it started last week is when they both really started working with us. So we're going to share with you all how that is going, and we'll dive more, deeper into the numbers and what that looks like. And, I think we are trying to challenge the traditional system of how a construction company does business.
Right.
It's usually an individual or two, right? A home builder, for instance, is going to build a home utilizing all subs, right?
All subs, yeah.
And so we're doing almost the only thing that we have to sub out now is roofing, framing, and then the concrete and foundation work.
And major
Drywall. Yes. Yeah. Other than those 4 things, we have electrical, plumbing, painting, flooring, tile, everything we do in-house, our crews. So when they hire Kirby Homes to build their home, Kirby is involved
throughout.
All the way through.
And it has made a tremendous difference in the flow of the project, the quality of the project, the relationship with the client, because they are all Kirby now.
Right.
And that is not traditional, and it has a heavy burden that comes with it: employee management, employee retention, the cost of all these things. But what have you seen that you think has helped with us hiring employees and having full-time people versus you have been in a couple of other scenarios? You know, you've been 1099 yourself. Right. You've done individual work, I'm sure. So just talk about some of that experience versus how we do it and what you would say the benefit to having employees is. Because some people think we're crazy. They think, what are you guys doing over there at Kirby? How can you maintain that overhead? So
well,
it's tough,
I mean,
right?
it is tough, but it makes everything so much easier. Just to be able to control all these different skill sets,
sure,
and the quality. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it makes everything so much better. Compared to like if you're doing your own thing and you're having to wait for a sheetrock guy that's supposed to be there Tuesday, don't show up to Thursday,
Right.
And then you already had the painter scheduled for Friday, and now
Yeah.
the painter's
Each
already booked up the
sub-delay
next
is
week, and then you got to wait.
Yep, it's a trickle down.
Yeah,
and it
it's-
costs time and money. But
Right.
then where most individual contractors are stressing about building a home with subs, and a sub keeps delaying or can't get there, or we've been in the scenario where we have one primary sub that
Right.
if they don't get to it, and because we've gotten so comfortable with them, if that sub doesn't show up to do the job, then we are really hurting
In a
and
bind.
delaying a job. Yes.
Right.
And then what happens is, no matter how great the relationship is with that client, they're like, okay, I get it, but it's been 1 week. Now you're telling me 2 and then 3 because we've crutched ourselves on one really good
Right.
subcontractor.
Yep. And then, and no offense to them, but they get to where they overbook themselves very badly, just trying to take in as much as they can while they
Right.
can, you know?
Yeah.
And it'll throw some things off.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of hurts us all the way around having to use subs, but there are subs who run good companies and
Right.
they are able to kind of keep up. But for us, it's not just that, oh, we're just bathroom remodelers, but we're doing bathrooms, kitchens, we're doing additions, we're doing whole home
Everything.
remodels, right? And so we're running 4, 5, 6 jobs at a time, but also we have Kirby Homes. We're building houses, custom homes from the ground up. And right now we've got 5 houses to start in the next 5 months.
Right.
And we want to keep doing that. Now we're going to move into the portion of the show where we talk interior design. We're going to bring in an interior designer and we're going to talk trending design and products. Hope you enjoy. Let's go. And 2, even with the paint, the type of paint that we get from Sherwin-Williams and that we use on these projects, the transformation and the change in the paint products from 20 years ago to now, right? You're talking about, so there's different types of paints that you use for different applications. But again, these colors are built to last. The paint that we use in these places is durable. And so when you're looking at something like a weight room, you kind of plan for what the use of the room is, right? As an interior designer. So when you're painting, you're not going to just use an ordinary paint where they can be in there lifting weights and hit stuff. You've got to plan for that. With your lighting, if they're going to be in there a lot, there are different settings on the. Now, can he adjust the settings on the one he just did?
Yeah, so there's actually different lumens he can adjust it to and different wattages.
Very cool.
So now the ping pong room and the weight room are right next to each other, but the ping pong room is on like the ground level floor, but to get into the weight room, it's actually the basement, but it's 20-foot ceilings.
Yeah.
So it's still open to upstairs. we still like, we're keeping it light and bright just as we would on the even taller side, just so because they blend together. And then there's a big wall of glass that opens up into like the hangout area for the students and the kitchenette. So it'll all flow really well.
Gotcha. Okay. And then, so for us, we did the planning, you did the presentation. We won the job for both companies, so the remodel side and the interior design side. And so now working together, so contractors and designers can sometimes butt heads because you're putting together the vision for the client. That right there is what the client wants to see. You've presented something. That's what they want to be the end result. Sometimes during construction, that plan has to be modified or changed a little bit. Right now, so far, not too much. We did have a situation with the ceiling where we're going to kind of have to do pretty intense work to do a ceiling portion in the remodel. However, I don't think overall it's changed much of the overall project. But are you decorating, or what is the design feature on this project? So what are you doing as designers? What is Kirby Interior Design doing for the Sports Academy?
So we're really just bringing it back to life.
Right.
Bringing it
So
whole new aesthetic.
you're still helping with selections, even though they have their colors and stuff.
Yeah, we did all the selections. Like, they were completely hands off. There's like, these are the colors we're thinking because this is the colors of what we have. And literally that was it.
So they
fully trusted me to go and find all the materials. But
so
still,
does it look good?
It's going to look great.
Yeah.
It's gonna look
And
great.
so it's starting to come along, and that's just a testament to, kind of how you operate, that even though they're new, they've got a job to do. And so it's hard for them to sit and you do these time wasters where let's look at every single detail and pick every single option. And just like when you're doing a home build or when you're doing a regular remodel, there is a lot to be done, and there are a lot of selections and options and choices. So for them to get to a point with you, that they just say, here's kind of the idea and let you run with it, that's great. But for the client, it's even better because, again, they don't have to babysit the job site. Right? They can check in. They're always going to want to know what's going on.
Right.
And so day to day, they're in there working, and being a newer on-site school, even though they've been around for a while, they've been online, they're able to now perform their day-to-day job and build the business while we're in there doing the work for them, updating, which enhances the business and the clientele that they can bring in. And as if anybody knows, when you're looking at where to go for school and where to go for work and things like that, you walk into a space that's doom and gloom, you feel that, and so designers really can change the attitude or change the morale of a company by making a space light and bright or giving it detail and things like that. And, and we'll do some before and afters on this project specifically, but I think for us, you got to get the point across that designers make a difference in your day-to-day life by being able to free up your time and help you with selections, because it can be overwhelming.
Oh, it can be very overwhelming. And we really tried to make it as easy and simple as possible, because I don't ever want to overwhelm anyone with 20 options of anything, because that's not helping anyone. So we literally went in there with 2 different options.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is what it is. Same line of colors, but we did different tones. So, we had gold faucets and fixtures as an option, or we did chrome.
Yeah.
And price-wise, they were pretty similar in price, and it was just a matter of what they preferred. But then the baseline of everything else is pretty much the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And there's a long journey with this project. So we're definitely going to show some before and afters and some of the good work that the designers have going on this commercial project. And then we'll hop on over and talk about some of the trials and tribulations for our kitchen and bath side. So, we've dealt with a situation recently where we are doing a kitchen remodel for a client, and pretty much it's the Murphy's Law, right? Everything that could go wrong has gone wrong.
Yes.
The client is luckily we're okay. They understand, but everything from cabinets to countertops, right? Yeah. So tell me about what happened, and this is just for informational purposes so people can understand. So we had a situation with a quartzite countertop where we purchased the quartzite from a company that we use. They installed it, and then there was a water ballooning effect.
Yeah, like there was some sort of moisture in the quartzite
Itself.
And it wasn't there initially, but then it just kind of appeared and like bloomed from underneath somehow.
Yeah.
There were different things, like different scenarios. We were trying to figure out how it happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
Courtney, being the kitchen and bath specialist that she is, she's never even seen it in her, almost 20 years of experience. So it was definitely learning.
Yeah. And that's one of those things when you dig in, that was the first time it's ever happened to us, but it's not the first time that it's happened.
Right.
And so when you actually start to dig in, you figure out, okay, this sometimes happens, but the homeowner, they don't know, and they shouldn't, they didn't want to pay for or have a product in their house that they weren't aware of water ballooning. And so the vendor came and replaced the countertops. Yes. Okay. But that wasn't the end of the countertop situation. So what was the next scenario that happened?
So the next scenario was it had dried as much as it should. And then there was some other issues.
The seam, right? Wasn't
seams.
It? Yeah. So there were two
came from the same like family, I'll say, of quartzite when they come in like bundles.
Yeah.
But it was still off. So we had like the main portion of the counter, like it has an upper level of the countertop. Yeah. The lower part, the two seams came together, and I mean it was
right in front of the sink, right?
No.
Or no, it wasn't.
Like facing the dining room table. So like where like the bar stools would be.
Okay.
It was like white and gray.
Yeah,
difference.
I mean, so like even from the pictures,
line.
you could see the seam, and where they had put them together, the colors were there. Sometimes they're off, and it's really not noticeable. But this one was clearly
that was significantly noticeable. And when we were going back and like trying to choose, like when we ripped it out the first time, what should we do? Well, she loved the quartzite. She wanted that material. The person where we got it from, he did explain, like this is
they were
the
running
same
out
family,
of it too, right?
This is all we have left.
Yeah.
So she okayed it.
Yeah.
Well, once you get it in your house and you butt it up against each other and it doesn't quite match. And it's
there, sitting on a brand new,
things,
she changed her mind.
She wasn't happy.
And, ultimately that's what we do is we try to make our clients happy. Mm-hmm. So we found a third option.
Round 3.
Okay. And I don't know. So we'll go ahead. Are they happy with the third round?
She's happy.
Oh my goodness.
I got that today, actually, that she's happy.
Okay. And so, is it quartzite?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
But we got it from a different supplier.
It's a different supplier, and it's understandable.
It's
these
similar
things,
but different.
Yeah. And so now we can move forward with the project because she was not comfortable making a backsplash selection until she saw the countertops go in, which makes sense. It's not always feasible, and it's not optimal for us or you to wait for this piece and then pick this piece because it just causes time and money delays. Right?
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us today. As always, we are grateful for our listeners and your continued support. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on social media via Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Get more info at our website, www.thehomebuildingshow.com. And as always, remember who we are, the Home Building and Remodeling Show.